Hello everyone, this is FIDE Master Viktor Neustroyev and thank you for joining my webinar. Today's webinar is devoted to the defense, so we are going to talk about how to defend your position properly. Okay, fine. Today I have some new equipment and this is what I'm going to show you. So I can take my camera and you'll see. So here I have two monitors and even a MacBook. This is my new microphone. Rode NT is quite good. And so you see the Rook. This is one of my prizes that my team gained when I was coaching them. So they won the first. They took the first place and they got this prize. So this is where I'm going to locate my camera. Okay, fine. Perfect. Yeah, I hope everything is fine. Okay, guys, so if you are for the first time on my webinar, please tell me where are you from and what's your rating. It can be either a chess.com rating or a FIDE rating if you have some. Okay, fine. So what I want to share with you. So this is our educational group on chess.com. If you want, you may join it. So this is the link. And actually, you see, if I may refresh the page, you'll find that I'm also streaming this webinar. So webinar 55, how to defend properly. It's a stream on YouTube. I also recommend you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is the link. And if you want to find my previous webinars, you can find them there. And what else? So if you want, you can send me a friend request. This is my chess.com profile. This is how you won't miss any announcement and notifications about new webinars, tournaments, or simultaneous exhibitions. And the last thing that I want to show is my website. So this is my website. You can find my courses there. No, not three, but if you click online courses, you'll find many of them. And I'm going to release a few more this month, or at least one this month. But maybe you can be interested in my chess blog. So, for example, this is my recent post about best chess movies. No, movies that you definitely deserve our attention and should be watched. So I chose several, and of course I watch most of them. Not all, but most of them. And I actually like Queen's Gambit. Okay, fine. This is what this is what you should know before we start the webinar. Okay, I hope you can see my board. Okay, yeah, I'm sharing this screen with this board, and this is the game that we are going to analyze first. Okay, let me check who do we have here. So, Brazil, Croatia, India. Okay, so in average from 16. Oh, it's nice. So there you are only 12 and you already have a rapid rating on chess.com 1900. Italy around 1300, not too bad. Spain 1500. Fine. Okay, fine. Good. And if you don't know about me, I'm a FIDE master from Russia. So I live in Novosibirsk. As for my As for my FIDE rating, currently it's 2,252, so 2252. It was 2305, but I lost 6 games in a row, or 5 games in a row, and decreased it a little bit. Fine. So before we start the webinar, please tell me your thoughts about the defense. So when you see that you are under attack, what your steps, what you should follow, and what maybe tricks, ideas you should apply in the position. It's not about this concrete position, but just tell me in general. Okay, so what do we have here? Counterattack. I absolutely agree with you. Try to anticipate the opponent. We try to predict the next move every time. Use tactics, attacks, defend. Yeah, tactics sometimes helps. Defend the weakest point. But what kind of defend it should be? If it's just a passive defend, you are unlikely to succeed. Okay, protect the king, but go for exchanges. That's true. Try to block the pawn structure near your king. Another good idea. And of course, defend the king with other pieces. Yes. Okay. Looks like exchange pieces. Don't open the king side. King safety. Bring some of your pieces to that side. Okay, guys, but nobody mentioned that to defend your king successfully, you should look for a counterplay in the center. And actually, I'm sure you know, and I already conducted a webinar devoted to this topic. So if you want to succeed on the king side, you should have a closed or at least a stable center, giving no counterplay for your opponent. But if he can find the counterplay, then he is likely to defend against this kingside attack. So if you are attacked on the flank, you should be looking for a counterplay in the center. And the best option is to open the position in the center in such a case. Because if you open the position in the center, it allows you to get any counterplay through the open files, for example. Second, it allows you to trade the pieces. For example, if you want to trade enemy active pieces that attack your king, it's better to do it through the center. This is how you have more ways to maneuver with your pieces. And the third option that opening the position in the center allows you to do is you can deliver your pieces from the other side to the king side to defend the king much faster if the center is open. Okay, prophylaxis is another good. Okay, I see. Okay, yes, size the initiative. Okay, guys. I think, yes, you are right. Okay, so Anirudh has a good question. What if the opponent splits the board in half? So it means makes a move and divided the board into two sides. So then you should be looking for any ideas that we are going to discuss today. Maybe to open the position, maybe to get your king to the other side if you have enough space to maneuver with the king, enough space and enough tempers. Okay, what if they attack and flank when you are castled to the opposite side? You should also attack the enemy king on the other side. If you see that you don't have enough tempers and your king is likely to be in danger soon, then open the position in the center. If they are fast, open the position in the center. And then defend your king. Okay, so I hope everyone is here. Today, actually, we have 26 attendees, but about 76 or 79 chess players registered for this event. And if you like this webinar, I kindly ask you to tell your friends about it and welcome them to my next webinar next Sunday. What we are going to start with? We are going to start with this game where black is under attack. So you see, in this position, white is threatening to play g4, g5, and so on. So this is how he wants to start the attack. So this move, wait a sec. How to draw the arrow here? No. Oh, yeah. So this g4, g5, and then maybe f6 or g6. And this game illustrates how to get a counterplay in this position. It's black to move. And here, black played a rook f to c8 with the idea to get some counterplay on the c file. So the center is stable, it's closed. The only way to find a counterplay here is on the c file. And you see, the f rook went to c8, not the a rook. If the a rook goes, then after g4, g5, we have to play knight e8, and this is how we block the connection between our rooks. So rook f goes to c8, g4, c3. Well, if he takes, then we take with a rook, and we are threatening with something like bishop c5, maybe. This is how we put the pressure on e3. Maybe a knight g4 can be played, actually, in some lines. So white decided not to open the position there, and they played b3, c2, g5, knight a8. Okay, who can tell me how to react on f6 in this position? What do you think black should do? So g6 and bishop f8. Anything else? G takes f6. G takes f6. G takes f6. I think it's too risky. No, of course, g6 deserves attention. So this is a normal move. But actually, no, you see, his goal is to locate the queen on h4, rook on e3, but he has to spend how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 moves to attack h7. However, in such a case, when we play h5, then g captures en passant, and after king h7, our king is blocked, and it's not easy to attack it. So that's why g6 deserves attention. But instead of g6, we'd better play rook c3, and g captures on f captures on g7 is not in his favor. What should we do then? Maybe play queen e7 with the idea to play bishop c5. These pawns are gonna die anyway. The position is open already. We are likely to trade the queen, to trade the queens and avoid all the complications. Why not? Okay, there was a question by Jonathan. Let me find it. It's really interesting. Okay, let's check g takes f6. So rook c3 is the best option, but g takes f6 is another move that deserves attention. However, I don't like it. So what then? Then maybe king to h1. So let's say this move, queen d8, then queen g2, king goes here, and what should we do? Well, maybe rook e2. Rook e2, and after he takes on f6, yes, the king is quite safe, but we lose the pawn on c2, which may be even more important than white pawn on f6. Okay, so let's go back to the game. Bishop d2 was played instead. This move was played to secure the c3 spot. So this is how he doesn't allow our rook to enter the enemy camp. How would you continue in this position? What do you think? Bishop c5 and then d4. Well, queen e7 was played first, but bishop c5 deserves attention. Maybe we can play it later. So, but with queen e7 we prevent f6, b4 to stop bishop a5 probably, but a5. So b4 allows us to start the attack there. B takes a5. And in this position, b4 was a good move. Yeah, I believe it's even the best option. B4, a takes b4, bishop b4. Then what can be played? I mean, we want to trade the bishop to be one step closer to promote the pawn. So if, for example, f6 here, then queen c5, check. And then we are about to play c1. So, for example, bishop a3, queen b5. So we capture the pawn on a5, try to trade the rooks, and we don't afraid of f captures on g7, because then just knight g7 is okay. Fine. Let's go back. So this is the game actually between two grandmasters of the past. A white player is Ian Balanel. He is from Romania, if I'm not mistaken. And a black player was Laszlo Szabo from Hungary. Bishop c5 here. Oh, bishop a3. Actually, this guy played a rook a5. It's not the best option, but bishop a5. And now tell me the idea behind this rook sacrifice. What did he want with this sacrifice? Oh, come on, guys. I announced the games and you watch them before the webinar. What for? Because if so, it's not so interesting to attend the webinar if you know what the next moves are. Yeah, so the idea of this, we can call it a group lesson or maybe a group exercise to guess the next move played by the grandmaster. So it's not only just to remember the moves, but to be able to improve your tactical vision, improve your position understanding, and of course calculation skills. Okay, yeah, next time next time I'll keep in a secret what we are going to analyze. And actually, if we have enough time today, instead of 3 games announced, I'll show you 5 games. But c1 first. c1 equals queen, rook c1, rook c1, rook c1, and then queen g5. Queen g3, queen c1. I can't say that the position is winning, but black is slightly better. His pieces are more active, and of course there is nothing that white can do on the king side to attack the king. So queen b3 was played in the game. It was not the best move. I think bishop b4 should be played instead. If so, bishop b4, a takes b4, queen b2, the queen becomes active. So then knight goes to d6. So one of these 2 pawns is likely to die. So f6, knight d6, then queen d4, and black is much better with huge chances to win the game. However, queen b3 was played. This move is a kind of a mistake. Bishop c5, king g2, knight d6. Now bishop b4. Oh, for example, knight g3 now is impossible because we start with queen g1, king h3, and knight e4. Because if he takes this knight, we are able to gain it back with queen e4. No, actually, we can even deliver one more check and gain one more pawn. And after that, we capture the knight and get absolutely winning position. Maybe even checkmate the king if he makes a few mistakes. Okay, so now bishop d4 was played, but knight takes e4, bishop c5, queen takes c5, knight e3, h5, just an escape square for the king, a4, b takes a4, and I don't know why actually he played a4, but he can't gain the pawn back because the knight is hanging, and this is where white resigned. Okay, so if guys you are looking for private coaching sessions, you can message me at tricksofchess@gmail.com and we'll discuss the conditions. Okay, so what you may learn from this game, so that when you are under attack, one of the best ways and one of the maybe most effective ways is to look for a counterplay. For example, in this position, the counterplay was only possible on the c file. So that black played rook c8, c3, c2, and so on. This is how he opened the position there. And also his c pawn was quite dangerous for white's position, and he was able to apply a tactical strike. That wasn't the best decision at that position, but it was enough to get a better position. So, and as for the defense, knight e8 was a normal move. Sometimes we play such a move in Con-Sicilian to control the f6 square and to support the g7 pawn. Fine. Okay, from this game you learn counterplay. Let me close it. So the next game we are going to analyze is the game played between Emanuel Lasker and Jose-Raul Capablanca. Okay, if so, then a3 was a weakness in such a case. You can play rook ac1 because a3 was a weakness. Rook fc1, yes, but queen e7 and the pawn is still hanging. You have to play b4. And in that position, still a5, I open the position. So there is definitely no kingside attack if you move the rook to the queen side. It's only one-way play. Only black attacks on that side, on the king side, or on the queen side. White has nothing to do. Okay, the next game, yes. In the next game, we are going to talk about trades. So, you know, if we want to defend our king successfully, we should trade the pieces that can potentially attack our king. Okay, it's black to move in this position. What do you think we should do? d5. Try to trade the knights. Yeah, this knight is quite a good piece, but if for example somebody needs to support the knight, maybe the queen, if for example the queen is unable to together with the knight to create something dangerous on the king side, then the king is the knight on h5 is a useless piece because it has only the g3 square. If so, then it doesn't make sense to trade this knight exactly. That's why bishop e8 it doesn't look good. I think g6 exposes the king's position. You can play such a move if there are no queens on the board. So knight a6, maybe no. Doesn't make sense. b4. b4 is a move that deserves attention. Interesting move. Yes, that makes sense. Let me check if the engine suggests this move. No. However, I would definitely analyze this move before playing d5, but d5 was played in the game, and this is the best move here. So by playing d5, black wants to trade all his pieces and simplify the position. So e takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, and here, of course, we don't want to trade more material. We take with a rook. Rook takes, bishop takes. Oh, wait a sec. No, knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, and queen g4. He's threatening the checkmate on g7. How would you play? White lost their good bishop, it's true. So bishop f8 is suggested g5. g5, f takes en passant. Okay, who can tell me why g5 and g6 both lose the game? There is a concrete idea that allows white to deliver a checkmate. No, I can't say that this is a pawn lose because the rook is hanging on d2. Yes, it opens the king, but wait, if we capture the rook and then somehow can defend the king, we are fine with it. Okay, Jonathan, g5, f takes g6, rook takes d2, and then how white succeeds? Okay, no, let's doesn't really matter which move. Let's say g5, f captures en passant, then rook captures here, g7 check, king goes g8, and queen e6 mate. I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you with g6. F takes g6, rook d2, check, king moves to the only square, queen e6 is mate. So this is a blunder. Bishop f8 is a normal move, but bishop c5. Let's trade pieces. This is how we defend the g7 square with our queen. and this bishop is not hanging. If he takes, we capture the rook. If first a rook takes, then bishop takes, and the bishop is protected with the other rook. Rook ed1 was played. Bishop f2, king takes f2. Rook cd8. So more pieces we trade, safer our king is. Rook d5, rook d5, rook d5, bishop d5. So then in the game was played queen b4. The position is approximately equal, at least there is no attack. Okay, so for some reason I can't play the move. Something wrong with the chess base, with the engine probably. So anyway, bishop d5, queen b4. Oh, it works. So bishop d5. Yeah, here we have queen and bishop versus knight and queen. You know, usually knight and queen are better because then can create more mating combinations for the king. But in this position, the king is quite safe. Our task is just not to move king g8 to blunder knight f6. So every time keep it in mind, and keep our queen on the 7th rank to protect the g7 spot. So Nika, do you think Lichess is better? So you want me just to share the screen on Lichess? I don't really like it because it doesn't look professional, and in chess base I have much more options. Okay, I'll think about. Maybe we'll do something. But in such a case, you should enter the study that I create. Yes, but okay. The bishops are better in open positions, right? But queen and knight together are usually better than bishop and queen. However, here these two pieces are much more active, and they of course are better than queen and knight in this exact position. So queen b4 was played. Queen a7, check, and king e2. That was a kind of a mistake. Okay, bishop c4. King comes to f3, and this is where black should start his own attack. What do you think he could play? Queen b7, queen f7, queen f7, knight g3. Actually, he played queen e8, and that wasn't the best move. The best option was to play e4 in this position. So if e4, if he goes there, then we play bishop e2. If he captures the pawn, then we play queen e8. So he goes back to f4, then we take on g2. And from this square, we support the g7 pawn. So queen f8, bishop g8. And then we are able to continue the attack of this king. Maybe even we can play queen h2 with a check and gain the material. So queen e8 was played, king f2, queen d8. And in this position, Lasker didn't find the best move. He could try to save the position with king e1. So king e1, queen e8, king f2, queen e7, and just to repeat the position. For some reason, he played here after queen d8, queen c3. That was a bad move. This move allowed us to penetrate into his camp. So we played queen d1. queen d1, knight g3, and then black played h6. Okay, what can you say about this position? Draw? No, it's obvious that black is better. Much better. I would say when it's a winning position, if there were two grandmasters playing it. Maybe king h7 first, then somehow try to play b4. In a few moves, white resigned actually, but let's analyze why. So how to play? Let's say h3. Then what? Queen c1, for example, with the idea to play queen f4. Queen c1, so knight e2. No, we can take, but maybe it's too early to take. This move. And then queen to h1. So, for example, he plays knight g3 back. Then we play king g8, knight e2. King f7. So our task is to get the king closer to the center and then maybe trade the pieces here. Our queen on d4, then get this position, and with the king in the center we can succeed in this endgame. Yeah, queen d4 is a good idea. Okay, fine. So from this game you may learn that trades allow you to simplify the position. And when the position is simple with just a few pieces left, it's easier to defend, of course, because in many positions it's likely to deliver a checkmate only with several pieces attacking. Like there should be at least maybe 3, 4, 5 pieces that participate in the attack. But if we trade most of them, then it's impossible to succeed. But however, of course, everything depends on the calculation, and we should analyze all these sacrifices. But here, definitely d5 makes our position less dangerous. Oh, really? My camera is frozen or what? Now, is it better now? Okay, that was a good question. You said earlier that the c7 knight was good. Can you please explain how? The c7 knight? Where? In what position? Here, the knight on c7 is good? It's good only because it supports the d5 square. I can't say that this is the best piece. It doesn't really do much. Okay, fine. Let's close it and open the next one. We are going to analyze the game between Yuri Averbakh and Mikhail Botvinnik. Okay, so Nimish asked a good question. When to trade pieces and when to look for a counterplay? It depends on the concrete position. When you think that there is no certain counterplay and so the attack is quite strong, then you should trade pieces to simplify it and at least get a draw. If, for example, you think that you have a good defensive potential and it's okay just to play a few defensive moves and have your own plan, then should be looking for a counterplay. But of course, you will notice, if you play the position, you'll notice if there is a counterplay or there is no, and you should just simplify for a draw. Okay, look at this position. What can you say? By the way, it's white to move. What do you think about white's attack? Only one? From d2 probably, maybe from e3. a3, f2. No, I think from d2 is likely. No, g4, h4, and so on, g5, like that. Okay, if the center is closed and the king side, queen side look unsafe for the king, yes. In such a case, you may leave the king in the center. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, you shouldn't be afraid of any attack on the king side. So if your opponent controls the center, then his attack can be quite strong. Of course, it depends on what move he plays. But if he doesn't have a control over the center, for example, like it is in this position, which is quite flexible, so here black pawns are flexible, and we can say that that white has the center. I would say that white has a space. White has more space, but as for the center, I think it's even. I think even black can get the control over the center. Black is likely to get the control. So some chess players say that the center has a kind of a magic power, especially if you can advance pawns there. And of course, like I mentioned before, the best response to a flank attack is opening the position in the center. So, and here we should make a breakthrough in the center. White plays h4. We play b5. And then he plays g4. b4. So we force the knight to move out, and in the game it was played knight e2. However, I want to ask you, what would you do in case of queen captures on b4? How would you play? Okay, yeah, I read this question. Just wait a sec, I'll answer. Okay, fine. Okay, yeah, so here Vitaly is absolutely correct. We play d5, then capture anything. So for example, the first pawn to capture is f4, and then the e4. So first queen e4 with the check. Oh, you see here the queen is hanging, it has to go back, and then we capture on f4, then we capture on e4, or maybe the bishop. Fine, so definitely it's a blunder. So knight e2 was played, and it's time to answer. So how the question is, how will we know that we are under the attack? Because sometimes the attack may be invisible. Yes. However, every time your opponent makes a move, you should ask yourself, what's the idea behind his moves? What is his plan? So try to recognize every move that he plays. You should ask this question. You should ask yourself this question. And so if you don't understand what your opponent is doing, then you may blunder something. And how to recognize a plan? No, of course, some plans are obvious, but some are not. And to recognize a plan, you should analyze games, grandmasters games that were played in these type of the positions. For example, in positions with such a pawn structure. So here we have it can be either Kivinian, or it can be Kan Sicilian or Paulson Sicilian. So there are so many games played by top grandmasters, and of course all plans are well known. So, and of course your opponent plays something that already grandmasters played. So for example, you watch 100 games in such an opening, and then you know all the possible plans that can happen. Okay, okay. Good question by Anirudh. Anirudh asks that if you think there is an attack, but you don't know how to defend. Okay, so now this is what we are trying to learn on this webinar. We are going to cover 5 different ways how to stop the attack. So what are these ways? So no, we already covered it. A breakthrough in the center. What else? A counterplay and trades to simplify the position. So if you can't defend, then I'm sure you just don't see it. There is a way to save the king, but you don't see it. If there is not, then it's time to resign. So if so, I would recommend to spend more time on finding moves that can protect the king. Sometimes it makes sense to deflect your opponent from this attack by making, if you see that, okay, there is no way to save. If he plays these, and these moves, I can't do anything and the game is lost. Okay, I'm not sure if he knows these moves and he's going to play them. What if I create something on the other side of the board to provoke it? So you can sacrifice, for example, something, or go through the combination that doesn't work, but at least it deflects him from the king side attack. Daniel, what do you mean by saying 10 means till end? Actually, the webinar lasts for, usually it's 1 hour and 30 minutes. No, I would say from 1 hour 15 to 1 hour 30. When did you say to resign? Okay, so if you think that your opponent can checkmate you, and this combination is obvious, you can resign. So for example, I didn't get checkmate for many games because when I see that the game is lost, I resign. Okay, what other questions? Okay, fine, let's continue. So before 92, queen b7 to put the pressure on e4, knight g3. So knight went to the other side of the board. It can support the attack, but we can change the position, and this knight would be required in the center or on the other side of the board. What should we do? What do you think? And I just want you to remind that in this position, white is going to push g5. Knight d7 maybe. Okay, black. Yeah, it's black to move. G6 then h5. Okay, g6 looks too risky, but after g6 he plays g5 and your knight is hanging. You have to take, and if you take, then he captures with the h pawn and opens the file. It's quite dangerous. So rook c8 and knight d7, but rook c8 doesn't create any counter attack. What to do after g5, for example, in case of rook c8? Yes, Jonathan, it's too slow. I agree with you. Any other suggestions? b6, what do you mean? b3. b3, a takes b3. Okay, I don't know why. So the question is how black should defend the position. What to do? So suggest a move or the plan. So knight h7, the move that we didn't analyze. I believe after knight h7, still g5 can be played. Let's draw the arrows. So knight h7, g5. Once again, knight to h7, g5. So if you take, I open the h file. If you don't, then I'm about to take on h6 and open the g file. h5 cannot be played. I just capture on h5. Okay, so yes. So Anatoly is correct. It's d5. This is a classical breakthrough in the center. Okay, let's analyze it. What if g5 in this position? What should we do? Knight d7? Come on, guys. No, knight e4 at least makes sense. However, it's not the best move. No, it's not knight e4. Knight e4 can probably equalize the position or make just white a little bit better. But no, of course, if not knight e4, then d takes e4. If he takes our knight, we take on f6, attacking his queen and bishop. So this is how we are able to get a piece back. So for example, queen b4, e takes f3, queen b7, bishop b7. Who is better? Definitely black, with two strong bishops and potential of the king attack, of the attack on the enemy king. So bishop f2 should be played in this position. Then rook c8, rook b8, put some pressure. Oh, of course, we are one pawn up, but no, I actually don't believe the f3 pawn dies. I think it's quite a strong pawn. So g5, d takes e4. What if he captures here? If so, then we capture the bishop, he takes there, and we play rook d8 move. So we don't take. First, let's trade the pieces. So the queen is likely to move. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's say the queen moves there. Then we capture. King takes. Then either rook d8. Yeah, rook d8 deserves attention. King c1. This is how we trade the material. And finally, we play f2. Bishop f2 here. So you see, he can't really attack. He blocks our king with his own pawn. Now, if he wants to take, fine. No, he has to take with the knight. Otherwise, he trades the queens and we win. But then queen e4. No, not knight e4, but queen e4. Maybe. Yeah, I think queen e4 looks good because we can put the pressure on c2 later. That's absolutely winning position. Fine, let's go back. So how to play for white? No, this is why white tried to play e5. What should we do as black? Knight h7, knight d7, knight e4, or maybe something else. What do you think? Okay. In this position, I agree with knight e4. This is a very typical solution for Can Sicilian. However, I'm not sure if this game came from Can Sicilian opening. So what to do? Now, if g5 in this position, then bishop c5 looks strong. Queen d3, bishop b5, queen b3. And how to continue then? What do you think? No, I think knight e4 is not. This is not how we equalize. We get a better position in such a case. In the previous position, knight e4 could equalize, but here our position is better because we are about to close the position on the king side, but activate our other pieces. Bishop c5, what? E3 check, but queen takes a3. Okay, a5, absolutely correct. So he is not threatening to take the pawn because after a4 the queen is trapped. That's why this knight on e4 should be taken. Bishop takes e4 because the diagonal is closed, so the bishop is a bad piece for white. That's why he trades it, but not the knight on g3. Queen e3. No, to stop a rook trade. However, we can still trade the rooks. Rook f8, rook fd8, rook takes d8, rook takes d8, and then he plays g5. How to continue? Looks like he is going to open the position, at least the g file. And we can play h5, we lose a pawn. King h7. Okay, looks like there is nothing wrong with king h7, but I think it's just a tempo loss. g6, he takes... No, in this position it doesn't work, I'll show you. So g6, he takes, we play this move, but h5, this is how he opens the h file. Oh, of course we can take, we have to wait, but I'm sure he'll do something with f5, sacrifice the knight there. Okay, and what about this position? Maybe he plays h5 here. Oh, I actually don't like it. Maybe g takes h6 is better move. So, but it's definitely not what we should analyze for black in this position. What else do you have? Queen d7, rook d5, a5. Okay, now queen c7 just. Queen c7 was played with the idea to get some counterplay on the c file. And also to keep in mind the queen's relocation. So g takes h6, queen a5. Now black has his own counterplay. He's going to capture on a2 and play queen a1. a3. No, there is no other move to play. Maybe queen b3, but queen b3, bishop d5. So a3. Queen d5, threatening with a checkmate on d1. How would you play in case of king b1? So if he does king b1 in this position, what to do? B takes a3? No. King b1, we can't play queen a2. Okay, queen d1, king a2. Okay, guys, I think you can find the best way here to succeed. Queen d1, king goes to a2, and then how to play. So here, king goes to b1, we play queen d1, he goes to a2, how to continue the attack. Bishop d5, exactly. And b3 doesn't work, I'll show you. Here, check, goes here, check. Now he has to lose a queen by playing queen b3. If he does it with a pawn, then queen c2, king a1, and after bishop b3, he is under attack. So we are threatened with 2 checkmates. So even this is a checkmate anyway. Rook d1 or queen e2. The game is over. So queen d5, what happened here? Bishop b4. And actually after queen e2, he resigned. Why? Because there is no defense. Now it's black checkmates the king. Okay, king b1. What about b3 immediately? B3, queen b3. And if you do this strategy, if you do this combination, then c4. No, that's not in your favor. So queen d1 is better. Okay, but in this position, do you believe me that white has no chances to save the position? So for guys who are watching this stream on YouTube, I highly recommend to join the webinar. I provided you with the link. So queen a1 is a checkmate. Yeah, we are threatening with a checkmate, but it's white to play. So yes, if he does c3, then we can play bishop a4 right now, but we can also do queen a1, king c2, bishop a4, b3, and then queen a2. Yeah, queen a2, king c1, go there, and then queen a1 is a threat. Oh, wait a sec, he can play queen e4. If he does so, it's a good move. But rook d2. Rook d2 and queen b2 on the next move. If queen b1 in this position, just rook c2, king d1, rook b2 check, king goes, doesn't really matter where, and then we take. Fine. Okay, good. So what you may learn from this position, so don't be afraid of the attack if the center is not stable. And of course, this is what I said before we start the analysis. Try to make a breakthrough in the center, like it happened in these games. After a few attacking moves on the queen side, we play d5 with the idea to play knight a4 after that. To simplify the position, to open it, and have a counterplay through the center. So I think the fact that we opened the d file played the most significant role here. Okay, fine. Let's continue with the next game. So the next game is devoted to a feeling of a danger. So when you feel that the danger comes, this is the game between two unknown masters of the past. And I'll show you what happened. F4, it was white to move. Black played F6. I would say many of you would play this move. So what was then? Rook F3, King G7, F5, G5. Looks like we need to close the position, and yes, it's true. Rook comes here, Queen F7, and G4. And after that, white is definitely better. What do you think? What do you think white plan should be in this position if you are white? Otherwise, in other words, what do you think white should do? Let's imagine that you are playing with white pieces. How would you continue attacking? Yeah, so rook h5, yes, queen h3, but then I play rook h8 and just defend the pawn. Rook h5 and h4. Yes, but white has nothing to hurry. I mean, that you definitely shouldn't. Okay, you should move the rook to somewhere other than h3 square. Okay, I see what you mean. Yes, it's of course rook h5 should be played. Knight f3, king g2, the other rook to h1, and h4, and then we white takes and opens the h file, so puts the pressure. I'm not sure that the position is absolutely winning, but it's definitely in white favor, and this is like I always say, one-way game, one-way play, because it's only white who has a possible plan, and black can't really do anything in this position. Maybe black should try to open the c file by playing c6, but I'm not sure if it's possible. So because after c takes d5, white can capture with e takes d5. So looks like there is no counterplay for black, and black has just to defend his position passively, or try to find a counterplay. I mean counter strike. Yeah, so this position is quite bad. But let's go back. If you have a feeling of a danger, then you could understand that in this position, the best thing that f6 could lead to is just a passive defense, what is not one of our priorities, because we don't want to defend our position passively, because in such a case we have only two results. We can lose the game, and if we are able to defend the position successfully, then it would be a draw. However, we want to play for three results. So we want to win the game, or if, for example, our opponent plays quite strong, then let it be a draw. So that's why here we should anticipate, or I usually say predict, this plan. And if it was a strong player playing with black pieces, he would definitely predict white's idea with f5, and then rook f3, rook h3, and g4, and so on. Okay, so there is a question about Simul. I didn't plan to play Simul today, maybe in a few weeks. Okay, my congratulations to you, Anirudh. I see that you won a game when you were a passive player. in a super close position. So instead of f6, how to play? So if we are able to anticipate the f5 move here and white's plan, then we should definitely play something else to be able to save the position. Oh, actually, no. I play simuls approximately once a month. Oh, Marcel came. Fine. Yes, f5. But if you play f5 right now, it will be a mistake. No, I think you can find a better position to play f5. So why not f5 now? No, let's. We should definitely make this move on the board and discuss. So what I don't like here, I think just this move, and I don't like it. So f takes e4, then maybe knight takes e4. So the g6 can be hanging. He is about to take the knight. We can play better. We can capture on f4 first. Rook f4, and then we play f5. Why? Because if he takes, if for example he plays this move, we have a counter strike. What counter strike? Can you find it? What black can play here? So black finds this move and get a slightly better position. Yes, it's queen e3. 3. So if queen takes, then this is a fork. That's why rook f3, queen takes d3, rook takes d3, rook takes f5. Here bishop is better than knight, but generally the position is equal. If, for example, in this position they play this move, rook e1, then the pawn is pinned. We can just do anything we want like that, for example. So he can't capture here, it's pinned. What if he tries rook f1 to put the pressure? Rook a f1, then f takes e4, knight takes e4, rook takes f4, rook takes f4, rook f8, rook takes f8, king takes f8, and here knight c5 cannot be played because the knight is pinned. We deliver a back rank mate on a1. That's why he has to create an escape square, and after that we play bishop b6. So here I would say the position is approximately equal. If knight moves, we play king g7 to protect the weakness on g6. But generally speaking, the position is approximately equal. So we traded to reduce the attack. Yes, you can say so, but mainly we traded because we didn't like the idea of f5. So after f5, he closes the position. He has a clear king side attack. But if we take and play f5 ourselves, then we at least can prevent this attack and open the position, so and maybe get a counterplay through the open files. If, for example, he decides to continue the attack and moves his pieces to the king side, for example, to h and g files. So Okay, so what I want to say, if in this position you would have a feeling of danger, then you would anticipate f5 move, and if so, you could take some means to prevent it, and maybe you would find e takes f4 and f5 with black pawn. And the last game I want to show you, it's actually the game played by Capablanca. He was playing against Russian master Alexander Ilyin Zhenevsky. Yes, and actually, so this guy, this Russian master, his name was originally Alexander Ilyin, but then he had to go to Geneva, and after that he took, no, he became Ilyin Zhenevsky. Yes, it was about 100 years ago. So, what can you say about the position? No, I can definitely notice that the pawn on f6 is quite strong, and yeah, I would say it's maybe it divides even the board into two sides. And of course, there is a clear plan for white. He should somehow get the queen to the h file. Or maybe first play h4, h5, then queen to the h file, and rook to the h file. Yeah, black is passive, and so the computer agrees with you. Okay, the engine also likes a white position more, but it's approximately equal because black is strong in the center, and the center is not stable or closed. You can always open it with d5 move, for example. However, it wasn't d5 played there. From this game, you may learn that every time you are under the pressure, when you're under the attack, you should keep calm and so look for tactical ideas, some plans that can give you at least a chance to get a counterplay or even gain the initiative. So in such a position, when you think you are in trouble, you are under attack, you should be like a doctor if the patient died after this treatment. For example, you know how do doctors work. So they are trying to do everything to save the patient, and if even if he dies, so at least they did everything to save, and there is nobody to blame. Okay, so what did you suggest? H5. Oh, sorry, it's actually what was white to move, and white played h4 in this position. So h5, g takes h5, king h7, and then I think h5 is played by white. And I don't believe that g5 is a good move. Looks like this is how we open the position. Now, we don't really want it, especially on the king side. Okay. If it's black to move, then I think white can do it anyway. Okay, let's look at what Alexander Ilyin played here. He played rook b8. Kind of a weird move, but he understood that his only chance is to create a counterplay through the b file, because it's the only open file. While d5 cannot be played, e5 doesn't make sense, knight e5 could make sense, and this is what was played later, h5, but he ignores and plays rook b6 to double the rooks. H takes g6, of course, not f takes g6, because this pawn is hanging in such a case. Knight d1. So you see, now Capablanca is playing some defensive moves. He wants to secure the b2 square together with the c3 pawn. Knight d to e5 was played here. Oh. Okay, I see that queen e1 looks quite dangerous, and this is what definitely should be played here. However, for some reason he played this move, queen f2. The difference between queen e1 and queen f2 is that this is how he blunders knight g4. If, for example, white tried queen e1 move, then knight g4 is not really doing much. Because just rook f3 can be played to protect the rook, and also to keep in mind the idea to relocate the rook to h3. So, but queen f2, and after knight g4, he has to play with the queen one more time. He plays queen h4. Knight c2 e5. Now, if, for example, here we take on e3, knight takes e3, queen takes e3, then after knight g4, we are in trouble. You see? So here, white is threatening with this move, and if we take, then queen takes, and we can't defend the g7 square. If after knight h6 we don't take but move the king, then knight f7 or anything with a discovered attack. That's why knight c5 was played in the game. Here, white made a mistake. He played d4 move. Instead, he could play this option, bishop c1, to keep the bishop alive. This is how we can also restrict black activity. But d4 opens the position. That was his mistake. Knight e3, knight takes e3, queen takes e3. Okay, so what do you think white idea was? What is white's next move here? King f2. I think king f2, then c takes d4. Then rook b2 can be played. So it's unlikely to be a good move. Okay, he plays d takes e5, queen e3. And this is where he could have some practical chances to win the game, or at least to get a better position, if only he played king h2. But he played king h1. D takes e5. So your task will be to feel the difference between king h2 and king h1 moves. Rook f3. How would you play? Yeah, feel the difference. So how to play? Wait a sec. Let's say you said queen d4. I think queen d4, rook h3. Queen e1, king h2. How to close the h file, because it's gonna be a checkmate. Nico suggests queen takes on f3. So you want to sacrifice the queen. Any other suggestions here? Because rook h3 is coming, so it looks like we have somehow solved this problem. Either sacrifice the queen or do something else. Queen d4, that didn't work. Bishop g7, still rook h3. Or maybe rook takes queen. Yeah, rook takes queen is enough. Okay, so queen f3 is a possible move, but e takes f4 is a better move. Because rook e3 and f takes a3. Let's now calculate the material. So rook plus bishop plus two pawns versus queen. Looks like black is better if we compare the material. What about the king's position? What can you say? So why here the king on h2 was better than the king on h1? What's the difference? More checking possibilities. Wait, but I was asking you that the king. I was saying that king on h2 is better for white, not for black. Yes, bishop d6 can be played, but it's not a big problem. Now it's a white to move, and if the king was on h2, what white could do instead? Yes, the idea of white is to get the rook on the h file. So, and if the king was on h2 already, from this square he could move to g3 and then play rook h1, create some problems. I can't say that this is a winning position. We should analyze it. But with the king on h1, it's definitely a safe position for black. So queen e1 was played. Rook b2, queen e3, but then black doubles on the second rank, bishop f3 and c4. a3, bishop b6, queen e7, and after c3, Jose-Raul Capablanca resigned. So why did he resign? What do you think? What could he do instead? Yeah, this game was played in 1925, right? Okay, it's difficult to find the answer, but actually, here black is about to deliver a checkmate or promote the pawn. For example, queen goes to e3, check, king g1, rook bishop c7, with the idea to pin. So bishop c7 with bishop b6 idea. Queen takes, still bishop b6. King f1. The only move is king f1, of course. But then we are able to join our other bishop. No, the question was why white resigned in that position. So yeah, because of the strong attack that black applies. So king f1, bishop b5, and then I think it's a checkmate. So king f1, bishop b5, king e1, and rook f d2 with the idea to play rook f1. Then the game is over. Here, white can deliver a check on c8, but it's just a check. That's why Capablanca resigned. Fine. Okay. So what did black do in this position? So he kept calm and decided to get a counterplay through the only open file, through the B file. However, if Capablanca played accurately, he would definitely find a winning idea and won't blunder knight g4, or maybe he just underestimated this move. And then maybe he would find king h2 in this position after queen f3. So king h2, d takes e5, rook f3, e takes here, rook takes, pawn takes, and king g3. Yeah, it's definitely a winning position. Oh, sorry, not this move. Take, king g3 here. So bishop d6, for example, king f3, but rook h1 is coming, and this is where we get a checkmate. Maybe we could improve. Looks like not. No, I don't see. So king h2 was quite a strong move. Okay, fine. So let's repeat what we learned here. What should you do when you are under attack? First, look for a counterplay. Second, trade the pieces. Usually it's better to do through the center. Trading pieces can simplify the position, and in such a case, your material can experience a lack of attacking pieces. So this is stop attacking trades. Second, get a counterplay. I said it. So a breakthrough in the center is the third. Fourth, get a feeling of a danger. So if you think the king can be in a trouble, try to anticipate it before and do something to stop it, to prevent it. And five, of course, even if you are under attack, keep calm and you'll find the solution. Okay, fine. So thank you for attending this webinar. The next webinar will be on next Sunday. Please tell your friends about the webinars if you like them. So, and welcome them, invite them to join. I don't know the topic of the next webinar, but if you want to suggest something, just email me, or you can send me a private message on chess.com or email at this email, tricksofchess at gmail.com. So this webinar will be recorded, or it's already recorded, and you can find it on my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm showing it. So YouTube. This is my YouTube channel. If you want, you can subscribe. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, and there is a playlist, so webinars. This is a playlist with all my webinars. You can watch them one by one. I'll also provide you with the link. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Oh, wait a sec. Okay. John, are you kidding me? Do you want to watch the games before the webinar just to know what the next moves are? What's the interest there? Yeah, so I think, okay, if you send me a personal message on by email, no, I don't want you to study them before, because if you study them before, then you will just remember the moves. No, but if you want, you can send me a message by email, and I'll provide you with the, with maybe even with PGMs. Okay, fine. Thank you, guys. See you on the next webinar on Sunday.